shouldn't be able to write at all.
I cannot believe that.
And then I always had lots of good ideas. That wasn't an issue. So I'm about to launch my own publishing house. No recipe books or anything like that. It's just going to be about upliftment of human beings. I've been guided to write that there is a higher power, and that higher power has our best interests at heart. Maybe you could relieve that burden from people.
Hello, everybody. I'm Elena with Let's Talk. I'm very happy because I invited the same person for our very meaningful conversations. And who else, like not this guest, will explain us better than anybody about military stuff, because he is highly, highly trained in all kind of situations where it was wars or special occasions. And he saved children, women, and he helped his own soldiers, and he saved lives. And this is most important, because in the time of wars, we want to eliminate losses. So Special Forces, real warrior, S.Treselyan. Welcome. I know you are writing like crazy. And how many books now you have?
I'm now literally writing my 21st.
Oh my gosh, bingo, 21.
Yep.
Tell me why you're writing. Is it your psychic, or you want to just pour out all your emotions, or you have a channel that's pouring your information through you to us? What is it?
I mean, I've had a channel since 2008. So, you're talking to a kid that flunked English at school. I mean, I shouldn't be able to write at all.
I cannot believe that.
Yeah, I couldn't string a sentence together. I was a very bad student. I didn't do particularly well, but then again, I was in the military, 16 years old. So I never really got the chance to do anything, to my mind. I was always bad at math. I mean, math has always been bad for me. But English I never quite got it. And then all of a sudden, once I became my story within the military, they enhanced us in a number of different areas in my specific area in Trident, and from that point on my mind expanded, and all of a sudden I became very communicative. I had this ability from there on to better express myself, both in the written word and in and emotionally. And then I always had lots of good ideas. That wasn't an issue. But in 2008, and in 5 o'clock in the morning on the 31st of December, I had a visitation, and I got woken up by this big booming voice in my head, which said, if you wake up now, the book is here. If you want to go back to sleep, that's fine, but the book will be gone. And I woke up and I looked down the edge of my bed, and I saw this huge 7-foot angel standing there. And I thought, obviously I had far too much to drink over the new year, and disappeared. Couldn't tell it was male or female. Couldn't see the face. And then I got up. I got into the computer room, and 5.5 hours later, I had the whole book down on computer. I had 70 post-it notes on the floor, all in pink, all beginning with the letter C, like courage and challenge and commitment. And I'm going, why are these C words coming into my head? And I realized it's as simple as ABC, 1, 2, 3. It's the number of God. It's the number of manifestation. And C, there are more verbs, i.e. doing words or manifesting words, beginning with the letter C in the English alphabet than any other letter at all, which I didn't know. So that's how the first book was done. And interestingly, I drew that angel, and that became my logo. And then 3 days later, I was in the UK, and one of my friends had a statue of it on a mantelpiece, which wasn't there before. And I said, that was in my room. That was like 7 foot tall, and it was standing in my room. She said, well, the original is. She goes, do you know who that is? I said, no. She said, that's Nike. That's the Angel of Victory. She said, and the original is in the Louvre. and she is the angel that came down onto the prow of the ships at the Battle of Plataea in Greece and rallied 50,000 Greek soldiers to destroy 1.5 million Assyrians, and that's how we get democracy and the alphabet from. I've been guided to write from that point on. And I mean, literally 2 years ago, I wrote, I think, 9 books in 1 year.
Do you think it's a connection between what you've been exposed in the military in terms of to become a Superman, and this is linked to you to open up your talent, your potential?
Without a doubt. I mean, I feel that people are chosen to be messengers. Interestingly, we've just been talking about Islam, and Allah says that he is the messenger. Sorry, Muhammad said he was the messenger of Allah. There is no doubt that humanity needs a bit of a nudge, because it can't be trusted to do it itself. So I'm a great believer in that there is a higher power, and that higher power has our best interest at heart. And in order for us to be able to evolve, we need knowledge. Knowledge is power, and knowledge pushes forward science and medicine and culture and everything. So
we need to do our part.
Yeah.
To click the connection.
Yeah. And so essentially, we've been given that gift, I think, that open channel. It allows me to express a willingness to be that messenger, which is great, because it means that your ego gets taken out of it, because it's not you. That part of it's you, because it gets filtered through you, but you can't just claim it as yours. There is a message that comes through, and it's the message that is the most important element. It's the mission that's important, not about me or what I think. So I've created now a group of different franchised books, if you like, that all link in. We have Order of the Nephilim, which is our marquee work, which is like the Bourne trilogy meets the Da Vinci Code on steroids, and it's about what's really going on right now. And I've written the sequel to that, The Cradle Falls, which is about what's about to happen. And I've written a prequel to that called Antarctic Reich, about Nazis in the Antarctic. And now I'm writing the prequel to that, which is when the gods came down, which is our prehistory. But in a similar time, I've written 5 books called Poseidon's Bastard Son, which is my life story. I've written 7 books on about comedy cartoon flies called.
Oh, they're cool.
I've written a political parable called Unveiling the Wizard, which is about what's really going on in the world as told through the Wizard of Oz story. And then I've got my personal development book. So yeah, I think we're coming on to number 21 now, and there's a lot more besides that is going to be coming.
When we will see them, when we can read them.
We're literally just in the process of getting the whole system funded now. So I'm about to launch my own publishing house, going to be called Starfire Books. So we're about to launch that. So there'll be 20 of my books straight in there. We got 40 authors that want to publish with us. We're only going to be taking uplifting, positive books, no horror, no children's stories, no recipe books or anything like that. It's just going to be about upliftment of human beings. We'll have our own marketing system, but we'll also have our own production company and our own platform to put the films on as well. So it's a very ambitious project. It starts with the publishing house, and it's going to be different to anything else that's out there, and I think it's going to be a very exciting time. So there's a reason why I'm being given this, and the fact is that I know when to write as well. It's not as if I sit down and do it as a day job. I literally have had like 4 weeks where I haven't written a thing because it wasn't right. And then yesterday it just flowed in and said, okay, now's your time. So I'm sitting here with a whole bunch of notes. And what I do, I always believe that my word, it has value, and therefore I always use the leather-bound books, leather-bound like diaries,
Oh,
And I
I
always
love like
got
those.
a really nice pen because my words have value. So I write all my notes in that. So all this is notes for the next book, and I keep these diaries. And it was interesting because when my house burned down in Malibu, I lost them all. And I had one. I literally had a download called Fishers of Men with the PH. It's about AI in computer science. It's like a detective story, and I got that downloaded in one night. So I wrote down the whole story, and it was in this diary, and it burned, along with everything else in my house in Malibu. So I thought I'd lost the whole thing, but then I went to Barnes and Noble, bought another diary, opened it up, and said, "Let's download it again." Sure enough, whoosh, came through again, and I was able to replicate exactly what I had before, almost page by page.
So you
So
have your own technical support, right?
yeah, it's great.
iCloud.
I mean, it's literally in the cloud, and the spiritual cloud. So I'm very fortunate in that way, and I have very lucid dreams. I have very clear channels as to where this information comes from, and this is what I think is really interesting. I was having this conversation the other day, and I said, because they said, well, what's how long can this go for? I said, well, you got to realize that there are no resources when it comes to art. Okay. So I don't need to have materials to build something. It's not like you're building a house where you have to have blocks of masonry and wood and nails and tools. You don't have any of that. Your mind is blank, and then suddenly it's filled with inspiration, and it comes from somewhere else. It doesn't come from inside you. We know that there's no part of our brain where we store information that we haven't seen before. So even Beethoven has said, all I have to do is write it down. He was stone deaf. He was stone deaf and he wrote music, I mean, how does that work? So you start to see this, it's like a piece of canvas has no intrinsic value, but you give it to Claude Monet or Leonardo da Vinci, and he puts his genius from inside his head onto that piece of parchment, and it becomes priceless.
Yes.
So there is no barrier to inspiration. There is no barrier to art. And this is, I think, the beauty of art. It doesn't matter whether you're a painter, an actual artist, or whether you're a writer, or whether you're a musician. This muse comes from somewhere else. It's filtered through you. You put your own intrinsic genius onto it. And what wasn't there before suddenly becomes manifest, and then suddenly becomes valuable.
Yeah.
So I think it's the most beautiful profession to be in now. So certainly beats jumping out of airplanes and ruining everyone's day, which is what I used to do.
Listen more their inner voice, right?
Yeah, yeah. And of course, all my books, we're making everyone into an audiobook. My son's doing all of those. He's an amazing voice coach. All of our books are being made into graphic novels. They're all being made into ebooks. So it doesn't matter which way you want to take that story, whether you want to listen to it, whether you want to watch it, whether you want to read it, or they're all going to have screenplays. So that's how I'm doing this now, to try and get this information out to as many people as possible.
Wonderful.
I'm still here.
We're looking forward. We wish you good luck and
Yeah, thank you.
hurry up. We're eager to see all of that.
Well, it's in the hands of other people now. We're in the process of getting it funded. Everything costs money, unfortunately. But there is a lot of people out there that have been seeing the vision. They understand what I'm doing. They understand my mission. And they know it's greater than me, and people are now joining us, and they realize that something has to shift, and we don't need propaganda. We don't need people's opinions. We need good stories. We need to understand who we are as a race, as a people. Every person has their underlying goals. You can't tell me that people in different parts of the world love their children any less than I love mine. Why would they want them harmed? It doesn't make any sense to me. So I feel that there is a bigger thing happening, And I feel that as human beings, we are on the verge of a massive change, a massive disclosure about our history. I don't think our history of what we've been told is actually anywhere close to the reality. Even in recent history, within the last couple of 100 years, I think our whole purpose and our whole way of who we are, why we are here, is about to change dramatically. And I feel that in that moment, I would hazard a guess to say that most religions at that stage would find themselves redundant.
Everything will be too much from both sides. I think they will be gone.
Once you get an understanding of truth, you can never go back. Once you've seen that light, you can never go back, and it only needs to be proven once, and that's it. So unfortunately, what religions have done throughout the ages is set a barrier between you and the creator, as opposed to a pathway to the creator. You know, you've always had that. This is why we call it, even in America, inalienable rights. These are rights given to you by God, not from a government, not from
But
some
isn't
middleman.
society set up the same way? Something always between you and, for example, power to knowledge or good connections. It is always something. You have to do something in order to earn, or you have to do work in order to meet certain people.
Yeah, and it's all about power and money.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to take away power, if you were to take away the money, there would be people would make different decisions. You know, I mean, imagine that there was unlimited energy, so you didn't have to pay an electricity bill. You could have unlimited energy to do anything. Imagine how that would bolster science and medicine. You know, that would take all of that away from you having to pay an electricity bill. Yeah, just imagine that. Imagine that you could have anything in your life that you didn't actually have to pay money for, but it was just created because everyone got in together and used their skill sets to create for the good and benefit of that community. That's what the word means: common unity, the unity of common purpose. Imagine if we could do that without division or seeing that there's this aspect of lack. That our whole economy is based upon lack, not abundance.
Exactly. Yes.
Imagine you could take that away from people. Imagine you could relieve that burden from people. If you had more, imagine you had like 6 hours in a day just to love and create and do something for you. How much of a better person would you be? You know, that's really, I mean, who actually made it up that we had to work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for the rest of our time?
Who is the making
And
money?
retire on a pension for a few years until you die. You know, I mean, who made that shit up? Who agreed to that? You know?
Yeah, you're saying very dangerous stuff over here. People will hear you in a different way. They'll say,
I just think it would be a lot of fun if the actual things of life, love, and the pursuit of happiness was actually a reality, as opposed to mortgage, credit card debt, servitude, taxes. I mean, come on, which one would you rather have? And we can choose that.
exactly. But this is good knowledge for people who live in the good stage and they're consciously living their life.
Yeah.
But there's other species who doesn't know what it is and they live in different mode, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I look at my dog. I mean, she's sitting there right now. She's sleeping. She doesn't have a care in the world. You know, she gets fed. She has fun. She plays. And, you know, she's not worried about what's happening in Gaza.
Exactly.
She's not worried about putting her tax return in, or if someone's going to come banging on the door, you know, wanting to try and take her car away because of it. You know, she's just living life.
Yeah.
You know, and life is just too short, really. You know, I mean, perhaps we just need to look at things in a slightly different way. And we have that capacity. If all of us all at the same time said, you know what, we're not going to do this shit anymore. You know, we're going to do what it takes to actually make sure that our community is safe, that our community works, that the trash is taken out, that the water is filtered, that there's food on the table. We can do that. We don't need a system to tell us how to do that. I mean, human beings once upon a time didn't have governments. They didn't have taxis. They didn't have any of these things.
I don't know about that. A lot of people don't understand this simple stuff. They wire differently. Somebody hypnotized them in the wrong direction, unfortunately.
Yeah. And if you read my books, you'll find out who and what we can do about it. And that's the whole purpose of these books.
Wow, I was very interested of that.
When I tell a story, I don't just tell a story just to entertain you. It's called edutainment. So it's about educating you in a manner that you feel educated and entertained at the same time. Everyone went to school and they hated it. So they don't like people telling them what to do. That's why you don't like reading instruction manuals and any type of manual, really. But you'll read a novel because it's fun.
Yeah.
But imagine in that novel that you had information that would actually make your life better.
Exactly. So you think humanity can love?
Well, I've experienced love, so I know it can. I've seen love, and I also know it can hate as well. It can hate with a passion. I think love is probably one of the greatest powers. A lot of people say it's the greatest power in the universe. I mean, yeah, but I tell you what, hate is a really close second as well, if people can manifest it. But it's instinct is probably the greatest power, because we do what is instinctual. And what I would like to see people do is instinctively love. So it becomes a first thing that they do as opposed to the last thing they think of, or they become lucky in love. We even hear that, if you set your intention to do that, and if you operate throughout life through a lens of love and through compassionate action, okay, not just having love in your eyes, but actually doing love things, that in itself creates more positive energy. If you just did one thing per day, without thought of recompense, without thought of having it rebalanced or given back, unconditional. And if everyone did that, I mean, imagine how much different the world would be. Quite remarkable. So yeah, I still have, a positive viewpoint that humanity is capable of love. It just needs reason, and unfortunately we listen to too many people about the reasons to hate more than we have the reasons to love, and it reminds me of the old Indian adage of saying that within us there are the two wolves, the black wolf and the white wolf. The wolf is full of love and the wolf is full of hate. And the young boy says to the grandfather, which one wins? And he said, the one that you feed.
Yeah, that's right.
So
that's the right thing.
Well, exactly, and and I think that we have this opportunity. We have a responsibility, if you like, and that word itself, responsibility, the ability to create a response. You choose the response that you have, and you can respond with hate, or you can respond with love. It's your choice. No one's forcing you. But if you choose to respond through that lens of love, then I think that you get different feedback and you get a different result. Yeah,
that's right. Okay, thank you very much for a wonderful, deep conversation. And next time, we would love to know your experience and expertise on how to become superhuman and what people should do in these difficult times.
We will do that. All right. Take care. Catch you soon. Okay. Bye.